How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing: always protect your profit. In today's video, we're going to be talking about ChargePoint and as well as for Palantir. We saw a lot of strength inside the market today. We've seen these stocks gain momentum, so let's take a look at them. So for ChargePoint, it ended up closing at $16.44, being up 4.51%. On the low, it tested $15.87, and then on the high, testing $16.64. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 7.516 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 8.984 million shares. So we had below average volume on the day, but we saw some strength in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, here's what I want to bring to your attention. You guys can see the previous lines that we made in the previous ChargePoint video, and it has been doing a great job respecting that. And what stands out very quickly that we are seeing increasing levels of support. We did say that ChargePoint has a gap that needs to be filled right here around $13.27, but guess what? It decided not to fill in that gap as of yet. It has support right here at 14.17. We see that it forms support right here around 15.35, and here we go testing highs at 16.64 and finding support at 15.87. So like I said, it is looking very bullish. So going into tomorrow, if we continue to see some momentum, where do we want to see ChargePoint getting to? So you want to see ChargePoint being able to make a move right here around $17.24. If we can get a break above this level, then we could see ChargePoint wanting to make a move to $17.71 and then seeing if it would get to $18. This would be the most bullish case scenario. But we have to keep in mind though, if it decides to have a pullback, we want to see a higher low. It was able to form a higher low and as well as a higher high for today, so we want that continuation. So what I'd want to see it at, right at $16. We had a low at $15.87, so add that to your notes. If we decide to break this pattern, then I want to see if ChargePoint can find support right at the 9 EMA, which is at $15.60. If it's unable to do that, then we know that the bulls maybe might want to start stepping in if ChargePoint pulls back to $15.31. And if they don't, then we could have a further pullback that can send ChargePoint down to $14.50. So I'll be watching these levels very closely. Let's see how ChargePoint performs, but I'd like to see this momentum continue so we can start trading in that $17 range. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for ChargePoint. Scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings for the 9th, we have Jump Financial that closed their position. We also have Pro Equities Inc. that went in with puts, but we have the zero value, and Pro Equities again that went with a call, but we have another zero value. Then we have Crest Wealth Management that purchased 3,186 shares, and we have Ronald Blue Trust Inc. that purchased 100 shares, and that's all we have for the 9th. Now, when we take a look at the short interests, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 45.06%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 1.14 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 100,000, updated 13 minutes ago, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 3.61%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 8th, it is at 50.84. And then for the close of the 9th, being at 45.06. So that is a significant decrease right there. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float, being at 16.39%, ChargePoint does continue to have short squeeze potential. Now let's take a look at the chart for Palantir. So it ended up closing at $9.59, being up 3.68%. On the low, it tested $9.32, and then on the high, testing $9.66. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 45.864 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 47.473 million shares. So we had below average volume on the day, and we saw some strength in the stock. When we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, we can see that Palantir did experience quite the sell-off due to earnings, but with the price price action that we saw today, not only did we form a higher low, but we also did form a higher high. So that is a really good look right there. We also do know that Palantir has a gap that needs to be filled right here around $9.71. So if it has momentum going into tomorrow and it's able to break above this level, the next gap that you want to keep an eye on is right here around $10.85. Am I saying that Palantir is going to go there going into tomorrow? Personally, I'm not seeing it. But as far as filling this gap here around the $9.70 range, I think that is very achievable. It did see a high at $9.66, and if it's able to get to the 50 EMA, which is at $9.85, it does set the stock up fairly well going into next week, and maybe we can look forward to seeing some sort of a recovery, especially going into next week if it could reclaim the 9 EMA, which is at $10.16, and then seeing what it would do from there, which I'd want to see a gap fill like I was talking about previously. Now, as far as for the downside is concerned, if it wants to have a pullback and break this higher low pattern, of course, we want to see if it could hold support at $9.25. This would be a key level to watch. If it breaks through $9.25, that's where we could see Palantir going right to $9. And if we break through $9, the next area where we have seen some support is right here around $8.69. So add that to your homework. And of course, if we have more weakness, I'll give you guys the update, but it starts looking really bad from there. But let's see if Palantir can gain momentum from where it's at right now currently. And if it's able to do that, the setup is looking really good considering all the numbers that we looked at. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for Palantir. Scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the recent filings for the 9th, we have Chemistry Wealth Management LLC that purchased 17,789 shares. We have True Investment Capital LLC that purchased 4,481 shares. And we see GSA Capital Partners with a closed position and Next Level Private LLC that purchased 17,789 shares. And we have Pro Equities Inc. with calls and the value is 0. We're seeing that consistent with Pro Equities Inc. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 58.45%. And then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 16.54 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 10 million, updated 16 minutes ago. And then for the short vol fee rate, it is at 0.29%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the 8th, it is at 56.20. And then for the close of the 9th, being at 58.45. So that is a significant increase right there. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float being at 6.51%, Palantir doesn't have short squeeze potential. So it's going to be very interesting to see how ChargePoint and Palantir perform going into tomorrow. Palantir did have quite the sell-off due to earnings, but it looks like it is gaining some momentum, and we're noticing this with the mid-cap. So what you want to be watching as well is IWM. So for as far as for IWM, from when I was taking a look at the charts, it looks like it's trying to make a move going to $200. So if it's able to do that, then I want to see continued momentum coming from Palantir and as well as for ChargePoint. So keep that on your watch list if you haven't done so already. So if you enjoyed this video and you're new to the channel, make sure that you subscribe. And if you received a lot of value in this video, make sure that you push the like button. We'll talk soon.